Welcome to The Actor and the Engineer. My name is Paul James. I come from the acting background.
And I'm Josh Knapp. I'm a broadcast engineer.
Here we go.
All right. So I was just going to say a couple things about Ex Machina that we talked about last week, that most of where it's set is a real place.
I think we talked about that.
Did we? Okay.
Didn't I ask, is that a real place?
Yeah, I was wondering too. It's a hotel in Norway.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we talked about whether or not the structure was real and the inside rooms were real. Because remember, I said the stone was inside the building, or
that's a different place.
That's
There's
a
two
set.
places. Yeah.
But that's a real place.
That's a real place. It's a house.
Remember, I said I wish that was a real place. Somebody should build that house.
Yep.
Lucky
it's a
them.
Real house.
Yeah, good.
It's a real house. And so I don't know if I think the house is in Norway. I definitely the Juve Hotel. Or Juvet Hotel. I don't know Norwegian, so I don't know.
Well, you know everything else. You can pronounce everything, so I think we'll give you a pass on a few.
But you know the one, so the part where he walks out and then there's the river running underneath. That's one of the. It's multiple building, like multiple structures, each being their own room in quotes. So you can rent a room and you have your own like structure, and it's got like a bathroom and a bedroom, and then like a common area with a kitchen type thing. I mean, I have no idea how expensive it is. It's got to be insanely expensive.
And it's going to be worse now because, more expensive now, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, probably true, yeah. But anyway, and then the other thing I was shocked at is that I looked at Ex Machina on like Metacritic, and I was actually looking up Avengers on Metacritic and on what's the other one, Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And they both have Ex Machina like way higher than Avengers, and I was kind of shocked.
What do you mean? Well, that's just a percentage.
I was kind of shocked that Ex Machina had such high. I don't know, because
that's a percentage of reviewers and what the reviewers say. So the reviewers give it 1 to 10 or whatever the scale is, and then they take an average of what that number is. But it's percentage. It's done by like 70%, 80%, 90%
of the
of the critics that they
think that it's good or bad. And Rotten Tomatoes is not great. Metacritic is much better.
I love Metacritic. Yeah. It's my favorite.
But
now, why would that surprise you? Ex Machina seems like a critic's film.
Well, I don't know. I thought
Avengers seems like a popcorn film where people are willing to tear it apart.
Yeah, but I thought that maybe the critics would have been a little bit more critical of Ex Machina. Like some of the
I read really good things about it.
Okay.
I
don't read any reviews before I see a movie because
that doesn't surprise me at all, actually.
But yeah.
Because Metacritic seems to be more artistically inclined with their reviews, meaning they take the New York Times, the LA Times, they put them all together and get the average, and it's usually based on, usually critics are not into the Avengers and popcorn films and stuff like that.
I don't know. I think that Avengers, we'll get into it here in a second, but I think Avengers, it seems to be a little bit more like, I don't know. There's movies that are coming out now, Avengers, Lego movie, that are more than just the sum of their parts. I think.
And this is why we're partially doing this podcast, not specifically about Avengers, but just in general, because critics sometimes get into their own heads and they feel that I believe a lot of people become jaded after a while. They watch movies for a living and they have to give their opinions for a living, and they're not subjective about it. They're not objective about it. They're subjective about it. They're tired. They've watched too many movies. They can't clearly see it. So now, it doesn't surprise me at all. Ex Machina seems like one of those films where people be like, it's so fascinating. They're critically speaking, it's a human being meets. I mean, it makes sense to me that. And then something like Transformers or the Avengers or Godzilla or something that, would be much more of a blockbuster would be critically pulled apart more or not as appreciated in the way that obviously you're going down that road. So, yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm tipping my hand, but I watched Avengers yesterday, so it's very fresh in my mind. And then you saw it you saw it opening night.
I saw it twice.
What?
I know. I waited to tell you.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And this is why. It's not necessarily because I, loved it, even though I did love it. It was because the opening night I was in Richmond. I took two of my nephews and my niece. 3 of which are under the age of 7, and 1 was 14. And so I was like, let's go see the Avengers. Not thinking Friday night, opening night, 6:30, 3D with 3 little kids and a teenager. Wasn't thinking. that said, the pros outweighed the cons immensely.
That's great.
The communal experience of seeing a movie on opening night, all those people in that theater wanted to see that movie so bad they fought there were
so many things that could keep them from being there.
I mean, the long lines, the wait, the tension, the long lines for food. I got to go to the bathroom with the kids. I mean, it's definitely, it takes a village, man. But to sit there in that theater and watch that movie with little kids and their eyeballs are just filled with it. And you can just see, their mouths are gaping open and they're not missing nothing. They don't even look away from the screen when they go, I got to go to the bathroom. Like they're looking right at the screen and they're looking as they're walking through the aisle. Their eyes will not let go of the screen. And then when all of the fun things happen and the adventure happens, everybody's like, and they scream. And then, and no, and all of that you can't get.
Yeah.
Like I saw it on Tuesday again, with maybe 6 people in the theater.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid of what I missed because of this whole experience. We missed a little bit of the beginning, trying to get the kids in, trying to get them drinks. And then, of course, they had to go to the bathroom. And, of course, there are people talking. And, it's little kids talking about the movie. You can't be mad about that. It's when people are on their cell phones starts
people
to
who know better, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so I saw it twice.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I saw it in IMAX and I enjoyed it. But there were kids there, and that was one thing. We're not even talking about the movie yet. We're just talking about the movie going experience, I guess. But I kind of felt like one kid was kind of like, I want to go, was just like not even interested. And I don't know. I was looking at it solely from a I've seen all the other movies and I know that there's a through line, and I know that this is kind of like the Empire Strikes Back of, I'm not equating it necessarily, but the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's kind of like right in the middle.
Gotcha.
And there's a lot of stuff that happens, because of things that happened in the past, and it's setting up things that will happen in the future. So it's got to kind of do all that. And spoiler alert, I think it did it really well. But I do think that I'm looking I'm analyzing it way too much, and I wasn't even really thinking about the things that you were talking about, which is just like, look at the people flying and fighting and going crazy and moving, and I wasn't even.
My nephew or my niece almost broke her chin open because she's tripping on the chair because she cannot stop looking at the screen as we're going to the movie theater.
Wow.
I was like, sweetheart, you got to look where you're going because it's dark. Luckily, we only had 2 people sitting on the right-hand side of us, which they were super sweet and very nice. And because we had to get up a couple of times, and then as we're walking towards the door to get out of the theater, she's got her head turned around watching. And I was like, hon, you got to go to the bathroom. Come on now. Uncle Paulie wants to get back to the theater too. Come on, get it going. Yeah, you're right. So, but actually, can we go back just a little bit and talk about what trailers did you see?
Oh, I did want to talk about this.
Blew me away.
Oh, my gosh.
I almost came out of my chair a couple of times.
Okay. So, the one that I was the most excited about was seeing, this is the first time I saw Star Wars, The Force Awakens, full screen, IMAX, huge, beautiful. It's 2D, it's not 3D.
Right.
And so, they make you take off your glasses and all that stuff. But
really?
Oh yeah. They have a little slide that comes up and says, has a little glasses with the little X or whatever on it. Yeah. So you take off your glasses. They had a couple of trailers that were that way. But, it just looks beautiful.
Beautiful.
Hearing that music in a theater, there's like nothing else. I felt like I was in high school again because that was the first time that I'd ever seen. Because I saw the ones in '96, like it was the special editions, but we were doing exactly what we were talking about, waiting outside opening day, going to see the re-releases of the original trilogy,
right?
And then same thing for the Phantom Menace and all that, But it just felt right. It felt right.
It's a good way to put it, isn't it? There's such an amazing difference between seeing it on the big screen and then seeing it on your laptop, your phone. You can get the trailer was excellent from the beginning. We talked about it, but seeing it that huge, I was like, what do I don't know what to be more excited about the movie. I'm getting ready to see that coming up. And then what else? What other trailers did you see?
Ant-Man, of course.
Okay, yeah.
Which was good. And
It's
that
an
was
extended
in 3D.
trailer too.
Yeah, it was pretty long.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like I have that movie figured out. So I would be, the only thing that I think would surprise me would be like performances, maybe. I expect Paul Rudd to do well, but I expect him to be more of like a Tony Stark type,
Sure.
thing, because that's what Paul Rudd is.
Right.
Robert Downey Jr. is playing Robert Downey Jr. He's not really playing Iron
Right.
Man. And I think Paul Rudd will do a similar thing. So I mean, in the one that's like the Corey Stoll character, Yellow Jacket or whatever he is, he says like what are you? And he's like, I'm Ant-Man.
Yeah.
He's like, I know, I didn't pick it. Like that's what I expect from Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
But
it looks way more epic. And I don't know if the first little teaser, you're thinking to yourself, they've really got to blow this movie up because it's about Ant-Man. It's about a little guy.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? But then you see what effect he has. And then I'm not a big Marvel comic book fan per se. I love the movies way more than I loved the comic books when I was a kid. These movies that have come out, the X-Men films, all of them, I was like, what? I miss Marvel growing up. I was a DC
You were
universe.
DC,
yeah, totally. So to actually see these characters coming alive, and then I was like, oh yeah, Ant-Man. Oh yeah, that's right. When you see this extended trailer, you're like, he's really, really strong when he's small. You see how they're going to play that out. The villain looks cool. So yeah, it looks cool.
yeah, no, it does. I don't know why I'm just not excited about it. I wasn't excited about the Thors either, but they're good movies. Like I
Love them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the background either. Like, and I know you don't either, but you have like more of a comic book background.
Yeah, I
and
do.
So I don't have any of that. I mean, when I saw Iron Man, the first one, I was on board because of Robert Downey Jr. and because of the tone, and I think they've kept that tone throughout. Do you know Jon Favreau was an executive producer on this?
I saw that.
That's crazy.
Makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Okay, what else did you see trailer wise?
Those are the two big ones, and then I can't remember what else.
I saw the Star Wars.
Yes.
I saw Ant-Man. I saw the Batman versus Superman.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Huge. It's the same trailer. It's the exact same trailer, and the extended Fantastic Four trailer.
I didn't see that one either.
I was like, what gifts am I being given? The Batman Superman trailer is so large, literally and figuratively. It was so epic sounding. And then his voice that we talked about on the big screen is really scary sounding. I was like, I think Batman really can kick Superman's ass. I'm not sure, but like, because everybody's been questioning that and been calling me or talking.
Exactly. What are you going to do?
Yeah. What are you going to do, Batman? You're a human in a costume. But see, that's where the brilliance is that whatever's not in that first Superman movie, The Man of Steel, there's no kryptonite in that movie. There's no, he can't see through lead. There's different color kryptonite. I think this Batman versus Superman film is going to introduce all of these things, because how else could Batman even stand? He could just snap him in two. He's look what he did to Zod. I mean, look what he did to that whole city. They did to the whole city. But anyway, it was unbelievably cool to see that trailer that big with Jeremy Irons voiceover, and then I heard all the voiceovers that we talked about.
And you did hear Lex Luthor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
good.
I did hear him, and he sounds just like himself. He's not doing any kind of different type of voice. So, and then excuse me, I saw the new Fantastic Four extended trailer.
The extended one. So now that one.
Good Lord. I think it looks good.
He's scaring me. I don't know. It seems weird. I don't know.
In a bad way?
I don't know. I there's something about it. Like I've seen him in a couple of things, and like they all seem really young, but he seems like the youngest. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if they're supposed to be like high school students or what they're supposed to be, but he's supposed to be some genius or something. So I don't know much about him. But.
Well, he's a doctor.
Oh, he is?
Isn't? I mean, I don't know if the character in this
idea.
new reboot is, but isn't he Reed Richards? Doctor? Is he doctor? I can't remember. That's how much Marvel I don't know.
Yeah.
But it looked great. They showed a lot of the Human Torch. He looks really cool. He's got those bright flaming eyes now. They're like glowing.
Oh, see, I haven't seen any of this.
Wait till you see it, dude. Especially on the big screen.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. They don't show a whole lot of, they show more Mr. Fantastic than you do in the original.
Because the original one's like his arm gets a little longer.
Right.
And that's
There's
it.
more of that, but not anything massive.
Okay.
And you see a little bit more of Invisible Woman, not much more. Yeah, but you see a lot of the Thing, and the way that they've kind of constructed his face and his body, it's sort of an updated version of the Thing. It's not as comical looking. He's a big rock guy. Of course, he's going to look scary. But the trailer, it looked good. So we'll see. So it was the new Star Wars, the Batman versus Superman. Yeah, I know, right? Ant-Man and the Fantastic Four. Those were the 4 trailers I saw on Tuesday. And there was only like 5 people in the theater, so I felt like I was all by myself. I was like, I think they're doing this just for me. That's what it felt like.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. Because I didn't know that they were going to release the Batman versus Superman trailer in the theater yet. I didn't know that.
You would assume, but...
When it went dark to the next trailer... And it started to come up. I was like, let it be Batman versus Superman. I was like, no, they're not going to show that yet. And then the voiceover started. And I was like, oh, it really is. Are they going to show anything else? Yeah. But they didn't. It's the exact same trailer. But to actually see like the Superman statue that says False God on it, that huge. I mean, how big is a movie screen?
They're varying sizes.
But average.
I mean, I don't know. 25 feet tall.
I was going to say 30 feet.
30 feet tall.
Right.
I mean, IMAX is 60 feet tall.
That's crazy.
So imagine Star Wars that big.
Unbelievable.
It's cool, but yeah, it's just enveloping you. But yeah, I mean, in a regular movie theater, it can be really small or really large. But I mean, yeah, it's going to be tens of feet at the very least.
Well, the amount of detail you can't see on the computer. Like when you see Batman come out from whatever that wreckage he's seen in the trailer, when you see that on the big screen, you can see so much detail. You're like, oh my goodness. I can't wait. It's going to be good.
That's cool.
Well, we'll see, but it looks pretty cool so far.
So let's talk about the Avengers Age of Ultron. Because it's just called Avengers Age of Ultron. I can give
what kind of I'm more curious about
this is what I haven't read.
This is IMDb.
Yeah, when Tony Stark and Bruce Banner try to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program called Ultron, things go horribly wrong, and it's up to Earth's mightiest heroes to stop the villainous Ultron from enacting his terrible plans.
It's pretty good. It's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. But I mean, like I said earlier, it's kind of like it doesn't say anything about what happened beforehand, and doesn't say anything about what it's setting up for later. But yeah. So the movie starts, and I started to kind of get worried.
I felt the same way.
And I was like, okay, so big time fighting scene, and now we've got all these people. And then it kind of highlighted to me the uselessness of Hawkeye and Scarlett Johansson.
Black Widow.
I want to call her Scarlet Witch, but that's not right.
Right.
But so it highlighted the uselessness of those two characters, and I was like, I just don't even see why they're here. And the movie proceeds to tell you exactly why they are here.
And when you see it a second time, you realize it's set up that way on purpose. Yeah.
And Joss Whedon is so smart.
So smart.
And I don't know. I know there's people out there who are given franchises. I mean, J.J. Abrams to some extent, but he always has, screenwriters to help him and to do that with. But not many people are given. I mean, I started to try to list them. You got Phil Lord and Chris Miller got the Lego Movie, which was kind of like they wrote and directed that thing. Holy them. And then the only other one I could think of was James Gunn in Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's not even proven. That wasn't even a proven thing. I mean, nobody really knew any of those characters. So from day one, they gave Joss Whedon kind of keys to the kingdom for Avengers, and I think he still did really well with the screenplay, and I think that he did a great job of kind of telling you why these people are in this group and why they may not fit together, but how they can work together.
I agree 100%. What I thought was interesting, all of that, but what I thought, when I saw it a second time, it makes you realize different things, of course. And I thought I was going to be more thrilled with the epic battles and all that other stuff because I already knew what was going to come. So I knew I could watch for certain things. What dawned on me, though, was how did they introduce 4 new characters, one of which being Ultron himself, okay, and then the other 3, and give all the older Avengers and 4 new characters all equal screen time, with the exception of one, the Vision at the end. There's going to be spoilers, by the way, people who are listening. Yeah. There has to be.
So, I mean, we both really like the movie, and I would recommend that anybody, if you like movies, you go out and see this movie. Would you say you have to have seen the previous?
Not at all.
Okay.
And I know that because my 14-year-old nephew has never seen an Avenger film. He saw Iron Man 1 and that's it.
Okay.
He's never seen anything, and he was like, "Oh, what was that?"
Oh, great. Well,
and he didn't know anything about the worlds and how they have intertwined them. He doesn't know anything about how they're interconnected. It's now sent him on a quest to find out.
To put the pieces together.
Yeah, to go. He didn't feel like he missed anything. He was like, no, it all made sense. He explained the plot line back to me when we were talking about it. So he's perfect example of how it's so well written. You don't need to know anything else before, during, or after. You just don't. So no, I don't think that you do. But it dawned on me that each character has equal screen time and equal importance to a very complex story where somebody could have gotten underwritten or somebody could have gotten overwritten, and it does exactly what a part 2 does. It tells the exact same story as part 1, just in a bigger and more epic, I keep using that word, fashion. Because once again, it's Tony Stark at the end, even though Thor's a little bit more involved, you know what I'm talking about, at the very end. But it's sort of what happens at the end of the first one. So to me, and on top of all that, equal screen time, complex storylines where nobody is underwritten or overwritten, nobody's character's more important than anybody else. It's all intricately woven. It's still the same as it was the first time as it is the second time. Then they have to weave together all of the other movies, all the Thor movies, all the Iron Man movies, all the first Avengers film, the Guardians of the Galaxy is in there. And it's amazing because you're like, wait, how did they figure out how to do all of that? And that brings me to my first question. Was Paul Bettany the voice of Jarvis in the
Iron Man 1? Paul Bettany has been there the whole time.
So this is pre...
No, okay. Let's
it
back
has
up.
to be.
Let's back up, though. I think... Here's my guess, is that Paul Bettany probably signed some sort of 3-picture deal when he signed on for Iron Man to be a voiceover. But then once Iron Man took off and they actually created the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I think Iron Man was not meant to kick off a insane, probably one of the biggest franchises in movie history.
It's not what the Batman versus Superman movie's supposed to do.
Exactly.
That one's called Dawn of Justice. So that's supposed to spawn all these other films, including the Justice League movie.
And Suicide Squad, right?
Well,
is that a separate
that's
universe?
Sort of no, yes, no, and yes.
Because Harley Quinn's in it.
Yeah, so no and yes.
Okay.
And Deadshot's in it and Joker's in it. So no, but I don't know if they're going to weave those films together. I know that the Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice is going to have Wonder Woman. We've talked about this.
Yep.
And eventually they're going to be separate Wonder Woman movie, Green Lantern movies, Flash movies, Shazam movies, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And they're all going to be woven together at one point. So I think you're right. I don't think Iron Man was started out to be what it has become.
And also Marvel was not their own studio. Marvel was licensing the use of that character, of that Iron Man character and other characters, Pepper Potts and all this stuff, to Warner Brothers or whoever released it and produced it. It wasn't, but now Marvel makes their own movies. Like they're completely enclosed in and of themselves. Like,
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that happened. I don't know. That happened sometime around before Iron Man 3, I think.
Okay.
But maybe after Thor. I don't know. Somewhere around there, it happened. But anyway,
back to Paul Bettany.
Back to Paul Bettany, yeah.
Bettany?
Bettany. Yes.
Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He's not the very expensive car in England.
What did I say?
Bentley.
Did I? Oh my God. I'm so embarrassed. Say his name for me.
Bettany.
Oh my God.
I mean, you don't have to enunciate it like that. I say Bettany, but
Bettany.
Bettany, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like Antony.
Yeah, Bettany. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. Okay.
Okay.
Bettany.
But he's been in all of them. He's been anything with Iron Man. Well, yeah, anything with Iron Man, he's been in it. Which is another really cool thing, and I wonder if
It had to be preordained.
Well,
they had to have seen that.
I'm guessing that
They had to have
locked
the
him
vision.
in. That's right. I'm guessing they locked him in probably when they started talking about Avengers, or whenever his deal lapsed, or whatever his agreement was. They probably said, "Here's the deal: if you sign on for all of these Iron Man movies and everything that Iron Man is in, here's the possibility we fold Vision in, and maybe that's how they got him to stay. I don't know."
Yeah, but what are the chances that his voiceovers are such a prominent part of those films? I mean, Jarvis is as important as anything Tony Stark does,
Yeah.
or the Iron Man suit. Without Jarvis, I mean, they make a point of that in this film.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the chances that that actor is going to also be physically perfect to play this next character, which is an evolution based on Jarvis? So
And was that his face? I think it was.
yeah, no, that's his
Okay.
face.
All right.
Yeah,
I thought
it's.
so.
I mean, it's done up,
And he's got like a bald cap on and
yeah,
stuff,
and then
but-
and you know, perfect. It was so perfect, dude. Like
It
I didn't
looked
know a
good.
whole lot about the Vision. I don't know a whole lot about that universe, so I actually did some research on it to try to figure out how much did they make up for this movie and
Mm-hmm.
how much is based on original comics. It's all based on some original story from the comics. All of it.
But they pick and choose from, because I was reading about there's like Ultimate Avengers, and
right,
then there's like
Crisis and
Okay.
all, or maybe that's DC. But yeah, you're right. There's some plot lines that they've gone towards
Mm-hmm.
and completed, and there's other plot lines that were like, well, if they did this, then this couldn't happen from this world. So there's
yeah.
West Coast Avengers too. So
Oh, yeah.
there's a difference. So I think
I was
that's
reading about that today,
yeah, I think that's what that team at the end of the film is going to be. I think that's going to be the West Coast Avengers.
But I thought, see, from what I was reading, they said the West Coast Avengers were led by Hawkeye, and then the whatever like super secret Avengers were led by Captain America. It sounds like it's the group at the end. We said spoilers, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
spoilers. It sounds like the group at the end. Imagine that the Avengers are still around at the end of the movie. Sorry,
Shocker.
but the group at the end, I think, is led by Black Widow and Captain America. It looks like
So
But-
it would seem.
yeah, but at some point in the future, that could very well spin off to other
Well,
whatever.
here's a bigger spoiler. It looks like it's Hawkeye's ending of his story in this film, in the Age
And
of
that
Ultron.
maybe, yeah.
But he's in the new Captain America film,
So he signed on for that.
so
Okay.
they don't know what they're doing,
yeah, there's a
which
lot
is
of,
great.
There's a lot of people in Captain America now. I mean, I was reading that a lot of people were signing up or were saying that they're going to be part of it. And I know it's called Civil War, so I don't know if it's because isn't Tony Stark in it too?
My understanding is that he is, and
That's the Civil
that
War.
story leads down a path that's going to really surprise a lot of people, according to what I just researched.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things in this movie that indicate they're going down that road,
Mm-hmm.
but there are other things that contradict, like the ending of Hawkeye's story. It seems like it ends in this movie, or he's done
Mm-hmm. Well,
with.
yeah, he has a place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the original discussion of, I'm going to call him the Vision because I'm not going to pronounce his name wrong again because I have too much respect for him. But it dawned on me the second time I saw the film. I was like, wait, is his voice the same voice as the original? And I was like, if it is, it seems almost, I don't, like you said, they weren't sure, or they didn't know it was going to spawn this big thing, Iron Man. I'm not sure if they did or not. It seems all predestined though, because how is that even possible? That guy with that voice is perfect for those voiceovers, and then also perfect as the character also. Have you ever seen the last page of Entertainment Weekly where they do the bullseye? And some people are outside the bullseye and they make fun of him. Some people are inside. He's inside.
Paul Bettany.
Yeah. Well, it says it's the Vision, and it
Okay.
says thank goodness for clear vision or something like that. It's got a big bullseye on it, meaning he is the talk of the town because he is such a standout character in this movie. So anyway, I thought that was amazing that he's Jarvis plus now he's the Vision.
Mm-hmm. That's his evolution is
Crazy.
into this.
And that's how it worked in the comic book too. Because I was like, wait, did Ultron create the Vision? Because I don't know. I know the Vision. I've seen him, and I've read a couple comic books within it with him in it, but I was like, was he an android? Was he a robot? What was he in the comic book? So I went back and looked, and you can just go to Wikipedia and pull up the Vision, and it gives the whole history and how it offsets and what's the differences and how it's going to work. But he was created through Ultron, just like you see in the movie.
Okay.
So yeah, so they
Great.
stuck to it.
That's cool. I did hear that Ultron was actually in the comics was made by Hank Pym, the Ant-Man.
Oh, was
scientist. Yeah, but they like switched that up a little bit. But I don't have a problem with that. Like, I guess that's where maybe there's like people who are hardcore, read everything Marvel, and they're like, you can't do that. But I do not. It does not bother me. I mean, if it works within that universe, and I think that's why they're calling it that, the cinematic universe. It's like, just as long as everything works in here, I'm fine with it. If you start to rip things apart and that don't make sense, then, you know, for example, Agent Coulson died in Avengers, but they turned right around and resurrected him for the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC.
But
guess who's not in Avengers 2?
Well, not only that, but interestingly enough, Avengers, Thor, Iron Man 2 are all being played on TV on a regular basis on late night FX. Mm-hmm. From 8 o'clock until about midnight, and then onward, they're playing those movies over again. And for whatever crazy reason, whatever the Avengers is on, I know there's other stuff I should be watching, but I just click into it. I'm like, I'm satisfied with this. Mm-hmm. I'm completely 100% satisfied with watching it. In that movie, it is never stated whether or not he's dead, Agent Coulson. Never. He says, Nick Fury uses that as a way to get the Avengers to come together, and then the other agent, the woman from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, Kobe Smulders.
Yes. I couldn't remember if that was her name or not. She says, sir, wait a second. Those cards were in his locker, but there's blood on them. So you're giving the Avengers the impression that those Captain America cards were in his pocket when he got shot.
Okay.
But they weren't. They were in his locker. So Nick Fury lied to them about what happened. Nobody knows whether or not he lived or died in that movie. That's why it was okay to resurrect him in the. You're making a funny face.
I mean, I'm just. I read an article. It was an interview with Joss Whedon, and he said that Agent Coulson's
supposed to be dead. Oh,
because there have to be stakes, and I mean, they talk about they do the same thing in this movie. I mean, once again, spoilers. They do the same thing in this movie where Quicksilver dies. I think they do that probably for multiple reasons. Number one is that there's a whole rigmarole with them and Fox and Quicksilver and X-Men and all that stuff. But number two, there have to be some stakes. Like, if you go into a movie and you know that everybody that starts the movie will end the movie and there's no danger. Also, they're kind of like cracking jokes the whole time too. So It's like, I mean, and I love the jokes. I'm not saying that's bad. I think that the movie is better because of their banter. Totally. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, yeah, so like there's, tens of thousands of people are in peril directly below them. And, they're just like, chill. Because they all know they're going to live.
Right. Well, the guy says it in the beginning of the film. When he says the commander of whatever base the Avengers is attacking. And the guy behind the comm goes, sir, it's the Avengers. Like, what are we supposed to do? So, yeah, I think they did that Quicksilver thing for a couple of reasons, too. I don't know if it's necessarily about the licensing and all that other stuff they did with X-Men, because it's there's a precedence for it. It happens in the comic book in one of those universes. What they did was make you believe that Hawkeye was going to die.
Yeah.
And he's my favorite Avenger, and he's my favorite Marvel character.
And he actually has a family and kids and all that stuff.
And so not only
invested in that character.
Not only in the movie are you invested in it, but when that happened, because I had heard there's some really major stuff going to happen in this film that was going to alter the universe. And when I realized it was Hawkeye potentially dying, I put my arm up so I wouldn't see it. I was like, I can't watch that. I was like, they're not going to kill Hawkeye. They just set him up as this really cool guy. And, what are they doing? They can't kill my favorite one. And sure enough, of course, he doesn't, because Quicksilver dies. But I was actually surprised they did that, because Quicksilver is a cool character. So, and also side note, back to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that before the Avengers film or after the Avengers film, the TV show?
I think the TV show's after the first Avengers.
Okay, so it doesn't make sense that
because the first episode, like I only saw a little bit of the first episode, but they're like, "Welcome to Shield," and then Agent Coulson walks in, and they're like, "Wait a second."
Right. He says, "Welcome
Sector
to
7."
Yeah,
I don't know.
Level 7. This is level 14. Yeah, you're right.
Sector 7. That's actually a Transformers thing. Sorry.
Get the two worlds mixed up. How could you?
I know.
But I just was wondering about that because I thought, well, maybe that's how they can justify, but Josh Whedon says that he's dead. Okay.
Well, and then
not to go
at
back
the
and
same
forth,
time,
but
yeah, and also at the same time, it's like, so now Agent Coulson's dead, but like, let's bring on back Quicksilver on the next movie,
yeah, they can't do that.
Exactly, they can't.
Yeah, unless you did some kind of backstory or some flashbacks or something like that. This doesn't set it up like that. So
yeah, and so, but yeah, and the other thing about this movie is that like it is hitting like all of my buttons as far as like female casting. I mean, it's got Scarlett Johansson, it's got Elizabeth Olsen, Linda Cardellini or Cardinelli. I think
is she
Cardellini. She's from Freaks and Geeks. Have you seen that show?
Oh yeah, I love her.
Oh yeah,
Hawkeye's wife.
Yes.
Yeah, I like her. Yeah, I like her a lot.
I don't want to get this wrong, but she's in there, and I mean,
Let's just
Kobe
call her
Smulders.
Bentley.
I'll call her Bentley.
That'll be our code word for mispronouncing something.
Cardellini.
Yeah, I like her a lot.
Yeah, no, me too. But I mean, like, yeah. So I mean, for me, it's just like everywhere I look, it's like these are the women that I don't need like some rail thin, weird, nasty Wonder Woman who I think that girl. She's in Gal Gadot. She's gonna play Wonder Woman, and she's like crazy skinny. She's in Fast and the Furious 5 and 6, and I think 7.
How do you say her name?
Gal Gadot.
That's a crazy name. What kind of name is that? Is it French? She's French?
I think so.
So you think she's too skinny to play Wonder Woman?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about Wonder Woman other than isn't she supposed to be like Amazonian?
Yeah, there are some issues about that, but we'll see where it goes with it.
But still, yeah, she is Israeli, so I don't. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but it's Gadot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah,
so thumbs up for the girls in the movie.
For the women, yes, there. And the other thing is, I guess Joss Whedon has had feminists coming after him or something. Do you feel like his portrayal of women in some of his movies? But I know. Don't you feel
Would
like
you want to spend 5 minutes in a room with Black Widow if she was mad at you? She can calm down the Incredible Hulk.
I know, but that's more of like
she can calm down the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I think that.
So how is she not the empowered one?
Yeah, that's true, and I don't see
What's
it.
He getting?
But I'm a man, so it's hard for me to do that whole thing.
Well, no, you're a person with a soul and integrity who wants to be a good human being, so you can objectively say,
Hopefully,
"Do I see?" Well, I mean, okay, nobody out there knows you. I kind of know you now, and I would say that. I would stand up for you and say, he seems, why, are you like this evil, like crazy serial killer inside your head and we don't know about it? If you are, I don't want to know. But the point is that they're giving him a hard time because people are saying he's sexist because of his portrayal.
Because of how he writes women. But I don't know. But these are...
Like, what's the example?
I don't know. I don't read trashy... things. I just there have been. He got off. We're like way in the weeds. He got off Twitter. Joss Whedon got off Twitter right as the movie came out
for the second time.
And a lot of people were saying that it's because of feminists.
Okay,
extreme feminists.
But the subject's been brought up, and now I'm curious. What is the? I mean, you don't know.
I don't see it.
I'm like, what's the example? If somebody could give me the example, maybe I could say, oh, I see how they see it that way.
Is it from the first Avengers where you only have Black Widow and she's the only representation of a woman? And here we get a much deeper backstory on Black Widow. I mean, they spend a lot of time on Black Widow.
Yes, they do.
And you learn a lot, and you learn how she has become. Because in the first movie, she's very cold. I mean. Just that whole, like, her, beating up the guy at the very beginning of Avengers, and she's just completely cold and, like, unemotional, and you're just like, she may be psychotic,
Right.
But in this movie, she's not. She's not because of,
Well, if she is psychotic, here's the reason why.
Well,
from this movie.
It's amazing that she's not psychotic. It's amazing that she can still feel.
Exactly.
Because she got her, her ability to create life taken away from her. She got her, I mean, her whole mind was messed with.
From a child.
Yeah, and so now she's actually able to interact with people in a fairly normal way. It just so happens that she could also kick their butt if she needed to. So, I mean...
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm going to look that up online because I'm curious to see what a feminist would say, no judgment, what they would say is the reason why they don't like how he writes female characters, because I would say the opposite was true. I would say...
If you look at, have you seen Firefly?
No.
He has very strong female characters in that movie or in that show. It's only one season long, but like there's some really strong female characters, and that's why I'm sitting back and I'm like, is it just the Avengers movie or what? You know, I don't know what their complaints are really.
So he got off Twitter because of that?
No, people were saying that was it. He, I don't know, somebody asked him in an interview and he's like, no, that's not completely wrong. He's like, I have to get away because he's addicted to Twitter and he's addicted to reading it. And if it's there, he's going to read it as opposed to, write a movie, which is what he's trying to do.
It's amazing to me that somebody can do what he does and be so great at it, but still be obsessed with what some stranger would say about him.
He's a fan, though.
Isn't it interesting in human nature how we would take, and it's probably the negative stuff that he's obsessing about. It's interesting to me that somebody is at the caliber that he's at. He is the man of the hour right now. Yeah. He did it again. And whatever happens next for him, who knows? But right now, he completed a task that is almost impossible if you think about it for a split second. Let's make a part 2, basically, of a team-up movie, which has never been done before. There's never been a big team. Well, the X-Men, sort of. But not like this.
But now where each person got their own movie, and now you're having to fold them in.
Right.
And
then
we know so much about each of these characters. Well, I mean, more than others. But we know so much about each of these characters, and he's now having to meld them together in a coherent way, and I think he did it.
Totally did it, and it's interesting to me that he would be bothered by anything anybody said that's a complete stranger on Twitter. So good for him that he got off the Twitter if that's what he wanted to do. I mean...
if it makes it so that he can write him... I mean, think about what he's done in between the Avengers. He did Much Ado About Nothing.
Which was brilliant.
And I haven't seen it yet.
You're going to love it.
Okay.
It's really well done.
It's in black and white, isn't it?
Yes, it's really well done. Cool. It's all done at one person's house in the pool, and it's really well done. I like that play, though, so maybe it just hit me. But I thought it was excellent. I think it's if you're doubting Shakespeare and don't really get it, watch that. Oh, cool. Because it's complete. I think it's word for word. I mean, I think he might have cut some stuff out for length and other stuff. And there's always these weird endings to Shakespeare's plays that most people cut out because you're like, why is this happening? You kind of get in like at the end of Hamlet, there's this big overtaking by this one sort of army, if you will. And you're like, why is this happening? Wait, what? This makes no sense. But they sort of talk about it somewhere in the play. Most people cut that scene out of the play. Yeah, or the play or whatever. But so I don't know how to the script or how to the text he is on Much Ado, but it makes sense when the actors are talking. It sounds like regular dialogue. It doesn't sound like Shakespearean. There's a few moments where you're like, you can hear the language is overtaking them, but it's so well done that it pulls you right back in when the moments happen. And it's a great cast. It's got great people in it. Yeah, I think you're going to like it.
All right, well, I do, and this is going to make me check it out even more, just having him on the top of my mind. But the other thing is, I think, number one, he's a fan, so he came to this as a fan, in the same way that I think J.J. Abrams is coming at Star Wars, whereas I don't think J.J. Abrams was a big Star Trek fan, but he definitely is a Star Wars fan, so that will be interesting. But but also he's so Joss Whedon is so self-aware. He's he knows the moving pieces, and he knows what people will because he's a fan. He knows what people will think when they see certain things. I think he kind of feels like he has a handle on that, and I think that he's doing it to the point where he's getting really specific about certain things. For example, the lack of language in the movie. It's a PG-13 movie, so you can't say a lot of cuss words. You got all these adults that are fighting for their lives they're probably going to be saying cuss words.
Yeah, because they have no reason to not.
Exactly.
There's no reason why you have to say, Tony, don't say that. I'm a billionaire,
Yeah,
genius. I can say
Nobody's
whatever.
gonna tell
Right,
him.
exactly.
So what he does to diffuse that
Brilliant.
is brings in a joke with Captain America and his, down homey, old timey type of dialect. And so they move that. I didn't even notice it until close to the end of the movie. And I'm like, this is it. First of all, it's a running joke, which is great. But secondly, it diffuses that like, well, they wouldn't be talking like this, and why wasn't this rated R? And it's like, you know what?
Well, not only that, it enhances all of the characters. It enhances the fact that Captain America is trying to fit into this century, but never really will, even though he's trying, because it's not that he had forgotten that he shouldn't be warning people about his language. So now it's become a thing where that's right. I can't tell people how to talk. I can't tell people not to use profanity.
Yeah.
That's we've
moved past all of that.
Yeah. That's way back. That's in the past. People didn't talk like this. And then they use it as a running joke, like you said, but it also enhances all of the characters. And it also gives Nick Fury his great moment at the end where even though he's not in a whole lot of the film, it's a great
You
moment.
kiss your mom's mouth with that? What did he say?
You kiss your mom
with that mouth?
Yeah, but he says it so quickly because they're all in on the joke. Even though they're separate individual people, separate characters, they have each other's back. And even though we have these separations, we are this different, we're still going to be on the same page when it comes to avenging, for lack of a better term. And it's interesting to me how well he separates the characters from each other to the point where even inside the Avengers, they're still kind of fighting with each other. Well, there's a big fight between Iron Man and the Hulk.
Incredible Hulk,
yeah, but that's because Scarlet Witch took over Bruce Banner's mind. But still, that's a way of getting the Avengers to still be at each other's throats without taking away from the fact that they're a team now. And also the way they joke each other and their way they're kind of on each other's back. It's brilliant.
But the whole party scene.
Yeah, it's brilliant. With Thor and Tony Stark.
And the hammer.
Jane's better.
Yeah, yes.
No, that's brilliant. It's brilliant because of a lot of different reasons. The conversation between Tony Stark and Thor about the other agent asks him, how's Pepper doing? How's Jane doing? And they both go on this long tirade about how great Jane is over in another country doing all this stuff. And Tony goes, well, Pepper's running $1 trillion company, and back and forth of how better their girlfriends are who they haven't seen in a long time. It's a great way to get the characters in the movie without really having to put cameos in that are cheeseball. And then they do that great moment where Thor goes, everything comes quiet, the scene's starting to come to an end, and he just goes, Jane's better. But brilliant.
Exactly. To me, that's if Joss Whedon was a sexist pig, he would have brought in, Natalie Portman and Gwyneth Paltrow as arm candy for that scene. Strictly as arm candy, and said like they're here to support these things, to support these men who are better than them. But instead, what he's doing is he's saying she's off doing her own thing.
She's more important than him.
Exactly, and she's off doing her own thing.
Yeah, and without her, he wouldn't exist. Tony Stark wouldn't exist.
So
he makes a point out of that.
I don't see the sexism in
that.
I
don't. Yeah, I thought we were going to close that subject, but you called him a sexist pig, or that's what they're saying.
I don't even know if that's what they're saying. That's just the cliche. Whatever.
I got what you're saying. I'm kind of teasing you at the same time, but yeah, I don't get it because why would you spend so much time making sure you mentioned a character that was as important as Jane was and is as important? Because people in the back of their mind are going to go, whatever happened to Thor's girlfriend, or whatever happened to that?
Well, she's Natalie Portman, so that is an issue.
What meaning she's working?
Meaning she's working, or they've got to pay her something to come in.
That's true.
Even if it's scale, whatever. But
they've created all of these worlds, and the way he interconnects it, even with just one line, he connects it. He puts the Falcon in there.
Yeah, and the Falcon was in there for a while. I mean, he was in there for multiple fight scenes too.
No, that's War Machine was in there for multiple, not Falcon.
Oh, well, Falcon was in there just for the party fight scene.
Just for the party, and then at the very end, where you see he's going to become an Avenger. Well, the fact that War Machine shows up, Don Cheadle. Anything with Don Cheadle, I'm in.
They gave Don Cheadle 5 minutes of time,
And they gave him one of the best lines, and the way he delivers it. It's not the best. It's not a great line. It's the way when he sees the vision. You know what I'm talking about?
I can't remember what,
when he's like,
at the end.
Yeah, what?
Oh yeah, what is this?
When he sees the, yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
I thought about you because that's like how you say like what?
Yeah. I laughed out loud because it's nice that he's written all of these worlds, or they've written all these worlds, and the way he blends them together, because at some point an audience member who's seen all these movies is going to go, where's War Machine at? Why isn't he fighting with S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point? Where's the Falcon at? Why? And they cover it. The Falcon goes, that's you.
And that's
You're an Avenger, not me.
Exactly.
I'm over here doing this. I don't know if he was being a little bit sarcastic.
Maybe be like, can I come? Or like, you know what?
I think
I do my thing.
I'm fine with being undercover and not being attacked by mutants who are trying to
Chitauri.
Yeah, right. And they cover all of that too.
Yep.
They put all that in there too. It's very well done.
But I think it's because he's so self-aware. I think it's because Joss Whedon understands that like people are going to ask these questions. Why not slip in a line, or why not figure out how to explain it without coming out and having some big expositional, scene explaining all this stuff? Why not figure out a clever way of doing all that?
And he does it every
does.
time. He does it. There's not one question left unanswered from this movie about any of the other worlds, all the way down to now there's a Mind Stone, there's an Infinity Stone, and then inside the Loki's saber.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is in Vision right now.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But whoever would have thought that's going to connect to the Purple Stone from Guardians of the Galaxy? Well, I mean, obviously, people who read the comic books are
Sure.
going to do that.
But they're building,
Brilliant.
and then the after credit sequence, puts the icing on the cake or whatever.
But remember in Guardians of the Galaxy, when you see all the stones, you see the Tesseract, the blue cube from the Avengers movie and Captain America and all that.
And Thor, yeah.
Amazing how they weave that all together.
Huh. Yeah.
Amazing.
And it will all come together. And you know that Infinity War will have Guardians of the Galaxy and
Has to.
Avengers.
But back to putting those little cameos in it, he doesn't just put them in there to put them in there. Oh,
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, but they're intricate.
Idris Elba.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yep.
That was brilliant. I was
Haley
like,
well, they brought everybody in. Agent Carter.
yeah, and that was great too. And it's done smartly. It's done for the contribution to the storyline and the narrative, not because we need to see her or we need to see him, or it's not done just here's a cameo because this character was in Captain America 1 or Captain America 2 or whatever, or in Thor 1 and 2. It's woven smartly into the story. And I see now why he really wanted to put the Scarlet Witch into this movie. He really fought for her and him because they're twins, which I'm confused about that story because I thought they were mutants and he was older, according to the X-Men film.
I have no idea.
X-Men.
So does he have a sister in the X-Men film?
Days of Future Past. He's watching TV with the little girl in his lap. Remember? So everybody's assuming that's Wanda, but
Okay.
I'm confused about it because Magneto is supposed to be Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch's father. Okay, and they are twins in most of the storylines, but I was getting a little bit confused about that.
There was something on IMDb about that, about how they took their storyline from Ultimate, I think it was Ultimate Avengers or something like that. And then also a part of that was also a part of that was the fact that there were allusions in some of the comics to an incestuous relationship between
I heard
them,
about that too.
but it was not alluded to in the movie, other than the two actors were close.
Okay.
A lot.
Wait a second, though. That's interesting that you brought that up. To my point, though, first, the fact that she's in the story allows for her to do her little magical tricks on people, which expands the characters. Instead, it's not just a trick done for an interesting epic movie, here it is again, a superhero movie. It's done so smartly that you get to see more things about Black Widow because of her Scarlet Witch's power makes her see things in her past, Captain America, so forth and so on. So it's intricate to the plot line why he wanted to use her. Now, to the ancestral thing, apparently that they do have a relationship at some world of Marvel Comics where they do have an incestuous relationship, okay? And there's a scene in this movie, and I didn't notice it until I did the research in between watching the first and second time I watched it, and I read about this, and I was like, ugh, gross. But there's a scene where they're suiting up, and he throws her that red jacket, okay? Right before then, he has his shirt off, and he puts his shirt on, and they cut to her, and she's staring at him in what could be interpreted as a seductive look at him.
Oh,
yeah.
Crazy.
And I was like, wait, what was that? First of all, if that's not alluding to that, then what is it? Because it's when you go back and watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. She could only be looking at him because there's no other reason to show a reaction shot of Scarlet Witch at that time. So I was like, wait, did he just play on that too? Brilliant.
Well, and here's what this is just in IMDb's trivia page, but it says Marvel Ultimates comic is famous for featuring a controversial incestuous storyline between Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. According to Elizabeth Olsen, while this particular aspect would not be overtly present in the film, she and Aaron Taylor Johnson played around with certain parts of it. Every time you see an image of them, they're always holding each other's hand and looking over each other's shoulder. They're always so close, it's almost uncomfortable. Aaron and I have been playing a little bit with those kinds of images just for ourselves. So they're just trying to make it interesting, I guess. They were both in Godzilla last year, too.
I think we mentioned that when we talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
I think we talked about them being Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Well, I don't know. I was never uncomfortable with them on screen together, whether or not that was their subtext.
But the other thing is that even if that was their subtext, if you don't see it, if you just look over that and don't see that, when Quicksilver dies, you can feel and understand and see how it affects Scarlet Witch, and then she just has some sort of red smoke bomb thing that she does that kills everything around her for a 100-foot radius.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, to me, and maybe this is looking through, rose tinted glasses, if you will, but I just
Scarlet tinted glasses.
Oh, but here we go again.
I need to stop that.
I know. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I thought they were just really close because they were twins, and that the situation, which is so well written, their past and why they
went through all of it together.
Yes, they went through it all together. They're orphans. More spoilers. The fact that they are spiteful against Tony Stark because poor Tony Stark, everybody hates him at one point in their life. And I was like, well, how are they going to make the transition? Because I know through the trailer that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are going to end up being Avengers. How is that going to work? Brilliantly written. You totally get why they're mad at Tony Stark and why they would fight with Ultron at first against the Avengers. Mm-hmm. And it's also amazing that her having her magical powers took the whole team down.
Yep.
Put them down. They had this big epic fight, and all she does is walk up behind and does this really cool red-like effect, which is very prominent in the comic book too. She's always looking like she has these glowing red orbs around her hands. So they interpreted it for the real-life world of the movie very well. But it just took that one thought in each of their
and they're
mind.
Down the whole Avengers crew.
But back to the brother-sister love thing, I just thought they were close. Yeah. But then I saw it a second time, and I saw that scene, and maybe reading that, which you just read online, put something in my head. Watch it again, because there's something weird there. I was like, why was she just looking? Why did they just shoot?
It.
Yeah, I didn't see it the first time either. They're all suiting up for their final battle, and you see Hawkeye get his bows ready and his whole thing ready, and you see all, the Avengers getting ready, and it's kind of a sort of a joke too. You see Quicksilver just reach for sneakers. Yeah, which is great because he'd have to have a good pair of shoes. It makes sense.
It's true.
And he's putting on the kind of lightning bolt shirt, which mirrors very closely the comic book characters' costume, if you will, but without making it look like a costume. So I thought those choices were brilliant. And then you see her look at him and you're like, what was that? So interesting. It's interesting that he got it all in without making a mess of it and it being a distraction or not leading to something important in the movie. Because even if she's just looking at him like, I love him, he's my brother, nothing sexual's there. Even though obviously in the comic book they made it that way. If there's nothing there, it adds to the moment at the end when he dies.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter whether or not it's really some...
Well, and it could have been like, we're getting ready to go out there and fight, and we could possibly not. I mean, it could be a foreshadowing to, his ultimate death. Like, this is the calm before the storm. I'm really appreciating him right now, and I'm worried about him right now, and I want him to be safe and all.
Yeah,
that.
Watch it again.
Yeah.
Other than licking her lips, she does everything.
Whoa,
You mean other than making it? Yeah. Boom. Other than doing something like that, there's something weird there. So I don't know what he wanted to do, but the fact that he just took the time even to tap on this one subject that was controversial and it was in the comics, it's all based on something. You keep talking about him being a fan and how it's written so well because he's a fan. I think that's Tim Burton's failure in the first Batman movie. He said he's never read a Batman comic book and he wasn't going to start because he was directing the movie, which is fine. That was his choice.
Yeah.
And he made a very interesting film. Not my favorite.
But it was a singular vision, and it was his vision.
Absolutely. And it's considered, they just did a list of the top 10 superhero movies, and it's considered the best one of all of them.
Wow.
Wouldn't be mine, but I see why people see that. But because he was not a Batman reader or comic book fan, you can see that there's flaws that just, ask a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old after seeing the first Batman film, the Tim Burton film, why is he a bat? They don't have an explanation. So that's in no way to diss on Tim Burton. It's just to point out the fact that if this is what a comic book fan would do with the Avengers, because they are a comic book fan, it pays off in my opinion. I think Tim Burton probably should have done maybe a little bit more research or read some or...
But the people who have, like me, I mean, I know nothing about Batman other than the movies that I've seen. So... the people like me who come to it, like I can enjoy it, but then the people like you who have the history of reading the DC comics, it's left you lacking. Whereas hopefully what Joss Whedon has been able to do with these Avengers movies and consulting on the other Marvel movies is that he's able to give that kind of sense of it's good. It feels comforting to the people who've read the Marvel comics to see it up on screen like this, and then also for people who know nothing about it can still leave having fun, having had fun and being entertained. So.
Yeah, I don't think that you need to know anything about this world in order to enjoy these films, or this film in particular, The Avengers. But and it's not that I sat there, not to compare the two, but I didn't sit there and watch the first Batman movie and say, oh, he didn't put this in it, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, he didn't do this. I'm saying that look at what he's done with the Avengers films and how much it's been enhanced because he did, and he is a fan, and he did do his research, and he did want to cover all those bases. Yeah. I don't think he had his hands tied behind his back and said, okay, I must do this world this way because people are expecting it. I think he did the world the way he wanted to. He made the Avengers films he wanted to. But all that other research, there's a reason why people do research for stuff. There's a reason why you do research for this show. I mean, because it enhances your conversation. It enhances the storyline of a movie.
And what I get from the movie, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you got all that stuff, and you've never read a Marvel Avengers comic ever, have you?
No.
Okay, you got it all. So to not put it in there because you want to create your own world, finger quotes, I'm not a huge fan of that decision. That's just my personal opinion.
I understand. And another just interesting little tidbit, and I looked a little bit for it today, but did you notice when Ultron is creating himself, and he does the same speech that he did in the trailer, There Are No Strings on Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So he says, there are no strings on me in his James Spadery creepy voice that he does. And then you hear, there are no strings on me. And it is a clip from Pinocchio. Now, the reason why they can use that, I've not seen this, but this is my hypothesis. The reason why they can use that is because Marvel is now owned by Disney. And since Marvel is owned by Disney, Marvel now has the capability to use anything in the Disney vault, canon, whatever you want to call it. So they can do a quick audio drop of an audio clip from Pinocchio, and they just do it for free. Whereas that does not happen you don't see like
even that little bit of it would have been licensing issues.
They wouldn't have allowed it.
Because isn't there a certain amount of time when you're sampling that you can sample something before paying for it?
I don't
like
know.
Music-wise, there's something
music-wise maybe, but that's intellectual property that's owned by Disney, and it's the clip from now. If it's somebody just randomly saying like there are no strings on me, if it's me singing that, that's different. But if it's the clip of the kid who voiced Pinocchio
and that's
in the
what
Pinocchio
it was?
movie, yeah, it had to be. I know it was.
I saw it twice, and now that you're saying it, I hear it, but I didn't hear it the first or second time.
No, it was. I don't know how many times I watched Pinocchio. When
so
I was
it wasn't
a kid,
James Spader doing that?
No, he said it. He said there are no strings on me.
And then it wasn't him singing?
No. And then it was a clip of. It's so
weird. A brilliant way to show you that Ultron can access any information anywhere at any point.
It's on the internet.
He's in there and still make a reference to a speech that it's well done. It's well done. I'm wondering if so who wrote the script, first of all?
Joss Whedon.
Just by himself?
Yep.
Okay.
I looked. There's no other co-writers.
None at all.
Well, there's obviously the creators of the characters Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, but
I'm wondering if he thought of that idea and thought, "Oh, I can't use that. It's licensed. Oh, wait, no, I can. It's Disney." Or did he think of it like, "I can use that because I'm allowed to"? Because either way, it's really well done.
Yeah, even the speech, the word for word speech, I don't know how that works. If he's quoting another movie, I don't know rights wise how that works. But I do know when you use a chunk, that's why you don't see kids watching Disney movies in a movie, because it
costs money.
It's prohibitively expensive, or they wouldn't even allow them to.
Right.
What if they're watching a Disney movie and then like the kid gets impaled by a spike?
Right.
Disney's not going to allow that.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, that whole thing is they've got a lockdown on that thing. And so, but in this case, they have kind of carte blanche. He can do whatever he wants.
Brilliant. How did you feel about James Spader's voiceovers or his?
It seems like, have you seen any of the, I've only seen promos for The Blacklist. That's a show that he's on or was on. I don't even know.
No,
if it's
still
around.
is.
Okay. It seems like the same guy. It seems like...
How did you feel about Ultron actually being... He wasn't maniacal all the time. And you would think that kind of character would be maniacal all the time. But he actually had a sense of humor, but it was kind of a sick sense of humor. And, when he says to Thor, "I'm sick of you," and he grabs him, he's like, "I'm done with you. I'm going to take you away. You're bugging me." What does he say? He says something like that. "You're bugging me, Thor." And he just grabs Thor and flies away with him. It's almost, he had such a strong personality that you had to buy into the fact that he wanted to be more than just a robot.
Well, and I think that's what AI is. And we talked about it last week with Ex Machina, is that you're looking for something that's not, to pass that Turing test, you're looking for something that is indistinguishable from a human. We only think of robots as just these things where you give it an input and it gives you an output. A calculator is a robot.
Right.
But for true artificial intelligence, you need something that can think on its feet and adapt and convert what it's seeing and dealing with in its environment into something that's useful and, much like a human does. So, if he knows that being cynical is the best way to get across to people or the best way to deal with people, he's going to do it or whatever. But that's one way, that's one device. A robot, we've not seen cynical robots really. So that's why that's why it's a good choice to be like, he's got an attitude. He's a robot with an attitude.
Yeah.
So it's
at first I was like, I'm not sure if I like this. I thought it had too much personality. It was not robotic enough. But then piecing it together the first time, I thought, well, they show you the map of his brain or the computer program up against Jarvis's. They show you that
size-wise.
the diagram, if you will, of what it looks like. And it looks like a human brain, firing neurons. Yeah. And so you buy into the fact that he would have developed a personality after doing all. It's as if he lived for 40 some odd years as a regular person, and now he's going to take over the world. This would be his personality, even though he just was technically born.
Yeah.
Finger quotes. He's learned so much off of the computer and off of everything that he developed that personality in that short period of time. And then I thought, well, why do we always need this mad, crazy person as the villain, who's always got something really sick and sinister to say, and they talk really deep. Why is that always the villain? It's nice to see something a little different, because I don't know. I've seen a couple of animated series with Ultron in it and the Avengers in it, and it's a little bit different. He seems to be much more... Thanos, who's the guy at the end, it seems much more like that. It seems much more...
Like a bully?
Yeah, bully, but just in control. He doesn't have time to be flippant. He doesn't have time to be sarcastic. He doesn't have time to make witty statements about life or anything like that. He doesn't have time. He's going to take over because he's Ultron and I'm doing what I want to do. So it was nice to flip that a little bit. I thought it added something when I thought about it for a while.
Well, and the best scene to exhibit that is when... Iron Man's like, what are you doing here? They're on that ship, and then Ultron's like, well, it's a good thing because now I'm gonna take the time to tell you my whole evil plan. I mean, he's just kind of like the trope of the Bond villain telling you exactly what he's gonna do, and during that time you're figuring, Bond's figuring out a way to kill him. But so yeah, I mean. Yes, once again, that's to me.
It kind of flipped it on its side.
Yeah, and it comes back to the self-aware. Like, this is a villain. This is what we can expect from a villain. Well, guess what? The villain knows what you expect from villains, and he's not going to give you that because he's not stupid.
And he even plays on it at the very end when Tony is trying to, or is it Thor who's trying to distract him at the end?
Yep.
And then he says, "You're not the only one who's trying to just waste time." And he turns around and. Ultron turns around and then presses the thing and the whole explosion starts to happen, so forth and so on. So it's interesting that he knows it, you know it, but you never think that the villain's going to play on that. But the villain played on it this time. So it's well done. I keep saying that, but that's a good word.
Definitely. All right. What about the Hulk, Scarlett Johansson, the Hulk Black Widow romance? I mean, is there a precedent for that? Do you know?
I don't know, but it didn't bother me. But I thought,
do you feel like it was a way for them to wring out more screen time for them?
Well, not only that, but I also thought that you needed the love interest in this, the romantic. There's always lovers in a movie. It's just the way it works. I thought it was an interesting way to put it in there. I thought it was a bit forced, and I thought if it wasn't there, I would have never noticed the difference. I would have bought into the fact that she was able to calm him down, and
just as a friend,
just as an Avenger, as an associate. I would have bought into that she is so smart in her intellect because it's proven, because she outsmarts the Loki character in the first film. She finds out what his deal is by tricking him into telling her. She, at the beginning of the film, is supposedly being tortured and she's like, I'm working here. And they're like, wait, what? And she's faking all that. So there's a precedence for her to be able to do things that you're not expecting, a spy assassin to do. So I didn't have a problem I wouldn't have had a problem if they had just left it alone, but you need some form of romance in a movie. It's just the way it works. It's just par for the course. So if that's where they went with it, at first I thought it was going to be more Hawkeye and his wife, and they were going to communicate more, and you're like, wait, no, we don't need that. So they didn't go down that route.
You don't want the phone call while the city's in the air.
Yeah, no.
Honey, I'm not coming home tonight type thing.
Yeah. No. But if they had taken out the romance completely, I wouldn't have missed it. And I also don't think it was 100% necessary. But it didn't bother me. It didn't pull me out of the film, and it didn't... it didn't stop me from buying into the fact that it could have happened. And if she is who she is, Black Widow is who she is, why would she not pick the most dangerous person in the room? It makes kind of sense.
Yeah. And something that's out of control. And
yeah, that she feels like, even though she knows on some kind of level she can't control it, she spent her whole entire existence learning how to control. They even make a point of that, which you talked about earlier. They sterilize these agents when they're younger, so there's one less thing to think about. So you're thinking she has no passion or empathy or anything like that. So why wouldn't she want the rage monster as her boyfriend? It makes perfect sense. Maybe that's why people thought he was sexist. I don't know.
Well, I think it is more on like things that have happened before Avengers and then coming up to the Avengers 2.
Oh, well,
but anyway, so and then also it gives Hulk an impetus to leave too.
Yeah.
So that, you know.
And you do need to buy into the fact that she can do that so he can come back to being Bruce Banner. You have to be, because what does he do? How do they control him and bring him back down? So, and did you notice he didn't speak at all when he was the Hulk? Not once.
No, you're right.
Which was good because he speaks so brilliantly. The one or two lines he has in the, or well, the one line he has in the first film, that was great that he didn't put a dialogue between them. But what did you feel? Did you like the romance?
I thought it was okay. I mean, but I did feel like it was kind of forced also. I felt like they were like, well, let's spin up a romance.
Insert love story here.
Yeah, that was the tough part. And that was one way for them to get the golly.
Black Widow. I love the fact that you can't think of her name.
Well, it's because her name's Scarlett Johansson. There's Scarlet Witch in
there.
Well,
it's also that you can pronounce every word of everything we've ever talked about, and I can barely speak. So,
if there wasn't a Scarlet Witch, I would completely be fine with Black Widow, but I cannot come up with it.
Black Widow's been in like 5 other films.
No, I know, but like you got Scarlett Johansson and Scarlet Witch. Really messes me up. Sorry. So Black Widow, it gives her another reason to have more screen time, and whether it's her interactions with Hulk or her dealing with thinking about the Hulk at the end when she's just standing there. But
I love that.
Yeah.
The thing that we've made a point about throughout this whole entire episode is that he has really thought about what his choices were with the characters, Joss Whedon. This right here, you can say insert love story here, but he didn't go Black Widow falling in love with Captain America. He didn't go black. He at least made this choice he probably had to make, because it's kind of a requirement in these big films to have some kind of romance. It just is. You have to have your big kiss moment. You just do. You have to have the two lovers meet and fall apart and then meet again and then kiss again. You just have to. It's nice. It's kind of sweet. It's romantic. It's a good part of human nature. I'm a little sarcastic about it and a little cynical about it, because why do we always have to have that in order to have a well-told story? It's not that important to have that in the story for me. So the fact that he chose these two characters as the romantic interest, I think is a great choice.
He made it harder for himself, is what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm wondering if he had a script where there wasn't any romance and one of the studio executives went, well, there's no love interest. There's no kissing. There's no,
how are we going to get the girls in?
Yeah, how are we going to,
You know how you're going to get the girls in? You show them Scarlet Witch, you show them Black Widow, and you show them how badass they are, and
they will
come and go to the movie.
Yeah, but to the point about the romance, it's in there because it's par for the course with a big film like this, but the fact that he was able to make it an interesting choice, the fact that they could never be together on so many levels, all the way down from, the infertility we talked about to him being a rage monster. He says it in the film. I can never have this life that Hawkeye and his wife are having. I can never have kids. I can never be. And she's like, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. And you realize that on top of everything that she is, she's accepting of another human being for all the flaws that they have. I thought it was pretty well written for having to insert love story here.
No, yeah, definitely. All right, well, sounds good. Did you have anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, we hit it hard. So
I'm interested now to see when you see it again.
Yeah,
I will say this: we spent a lot of time as a love fest of this film, so it's okay at this point to say these are the few things that this one to me. I was telling you that earlier that the first Avengers film is being showed over and over again on FX. Whenever it's on, I catch myself watching it. This film doesn't feel like that to me. Like, I don't think...
It's because you don't have the origin story. It's that I think...
You think that's what it is?
Yeah, there's a freshness to, like, let's get all these people in a room who've never seen each other.
But I've seen it 100 times. What keeps me interested in it? And it was on like 3 nights in a row. And 3 nights in a row, I get home from work and just flip the TV on. I'm flipping. I'm like, Avengers. Next thing you know, I'm an hour into it. I'm like, why am I watching this movie again?
I don't even like Loki. I don't like Loki.
Oh, I think he's cool.
See, I don't like him. But
you mean as a character or as...
No, Tom Hiddleston's fine. But yeah, as a character, I guess maybe. I just feel like it's just he's whiny and he's just out of place. And the whole Thor thing and Asgard and all that stuff.
What?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll buy into the fact that Scarlet Witch...
No. I'm not saying that it's...
Black Widow can do what they do in these films, but you don't buy into any of that stuff?
I don't know. I mean... Like the Thor, the first Thor movie, aren't they more on Asgard in the first Thor movie? I can't remember.
No, they're on Asgard a lot in the second film because remember he takes Jane to Asgard.
That's right, he does
to protect that red stuff. That's one of the Infinity Stones.
Got it. Okay. See, but
that red stuff that would be a technical term for one of the Infinity Stones. You know, there's somebody out there who knows the name of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I totally understand.
I'm actually envious that I don't know. I wouldn't know. Once I do find out, I'll say it for the rest of my life. That's the blah, blah, blah Infinity Stone. The red one. Anyway.
But anyway, so I guess that maybe that's my issue is that it's the non-world-based stuff, non-Earth-based stuff bringing in there, and then having the Chitauri coming in. At least with this movie, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the honeymoon phase or I don't know what it is. But with this movie, it's like everything's self-contained. Like there's no like, hey, let's go out into space and let's come back. And then, you know, the craziest part that we have is Thor goes to some weird like underground pool thing and sees something. And that's about as crazy as we get. Other than like, I mean, you can make artificial intelligence to some extent now. I mean, that's not completely impossible. There's things that can get better. What is happening in this movie, as far as like the bad guy's concerned, is
logical,
plausible, but it is logical.
Yes, for this world, it is.
Yeah, but Chitauri coming through a wormhole on top of New York City, not as logical, but. That I say that, and at the same time, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. So you know,
I was just gonna say, wait a second, Guardians.
You're gonna have to back me off.
I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying, though. I see. But even though this film had to top the first one, the things that are at stake is a little less. I mean, it's ultimate destruction of the Earth in the first film. This is just like a city, which
but
eventually
that's the
will.
Thing that I wanted to talk about, I guess. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Is that they spent so much time and energy saying no one will get hurt. No one. And it's different from movies from previous, last summer, you've got Godzilla. I mean, it's just laying waste to thousands of people, probably tens of thousands of people. And you've got, Transformers is famous for that. Star Trek, the last Star Trek, the darkness one, just leveled San Francisco, completely leveled it. And so you got all this collateral damage that the filmmakers don't pay attention to at all and don't make mention of or nothing. But this movie seems like it went overboard. Maybe not overboard, went to the edge of partial annoyance of like, there's one person over there. Get that one person right there. That building's falling. It's not cleared. There's the 10th floor. It has 3 people in it. And there's a tub. And you can get the tub. And you can move the tub out. And you can... I mean, it was like... I'm cool with like Tony Stark saving people. But at the same time, it's like we're spending way too much time making sure that like a kid gets his toy dinosaur before his whole freaking city falls.
Yeah, and it's definitely it reeked a little bit of let's try to get the Avengers to do some more cool stuff.
Well,
so Hawkeye has to have his moment where he realizes that the kid is more important.
That kid is in 3 times. It's a number. I don't know if you noticed it, but that kid and the blonde mother are in the movie, but 3 times.
He's famous for that. This world is famous for that because remember the waitress?
That's right, the waitress in the first one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I
Same
thought,
thing.
what a
3
great
times.
way to mirror, because a second film of a big first epic always mirrors the first one, just does it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that he has those shots of people looking out the window, like the shot of the waitress looking out the window in the first Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there.
And you think it's a random person, but then you realize
And then she has
she's
something
coming back.
Yeah, and then this same with this blonde, and although she
And her
doesn't
kids.
speak, but
Yep.
yeah, I mean, but it's also that moment where Hawkeye goes, kids are the most important thing in my world
Yep.
now.
Oh, no,
After
I
all
totally get
this.
it.
Yeah. After all, and plus, it's kind of cool to see Tony Stark pick up a tub of people and fly away.
I totally get it. But
As
like,
the building falls off the
but the
side.
whole Captain America, like, you know, like, get those people out of there. Do this. Go do that.
And you see Scarlet Witch kind of like doing like a crossing guard move. Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, it started to borderline. It was really noticeable the second time, because the first time you're watching it, it's all happening so much.
Mm-hmm.
The second time you see it, it slows down a little bit, and you're going, wait, she's literally directing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she looks
Shouldn't
like
she be like killing like these things
or
that are trying
shouldn't
to?
she be like floating people to the thing? I mean, something cool. Yeah. So it's there a little bit. It doesn't pull me out. And maybe that's the difference between this one and the first one, the small, minute differences that made me go, I feel like I can watch the first one over and over and over again. This one, I'll stand the test of time.
yeah.
I'm not sure. I could, but even watching it a second time, I felt fulfilled the first time. So if I never saw it again, please don't let that happen. But if I never did, I felt like I saw it, even with all the distractions.
But once again, it's still going to come back to, I think that he's so self-aware, and maybe somebody on Twitter or a bunch of people on Twitter or somewhere said like, hey, yo, so it's great that you just like completely obliterated New York City in Avengers. Thanks a lot. You know, for all those people who died when the Chitauri came down, and, you know, like stray laser beams were killing people in high-rise apartments. You know, and so he's like, fine, no stray laser beams, no high-rise apartments, everybody gets saved. This is Avengers 2.
But you know that that's not what happened. Have I ever told you the plot line of a movie I keep thinking about what those characters are going through when all this other destruction is going on? What happens to those characters when they're in the rubble? And, you know, there's a whole world going on there that we never see. You're right. They do just
kind of like Cloverfield.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, okay, there it is. Never mind. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, it's been done. That's okay.
I don't want to burst your bubble.
No, it's okay. But you're right, though. You're perfectly right, and they did it well in that movie too. I enjoyed that film. Yeah. I'm not so sure that they saved everybody, but they made it a point to try to make it sound like this is what we do, because there's no way that those buildings fell off the side and everybody was out of them. Yeah. And then this one particular building only had this one family out. They do a really good job of getting Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver to alert the town to get them to start going out, but nobody died. Come on. It something happened. I think it's smart to say nobody will die, meaning this is our challenge. But to realistically think, if you're going to look in this world and say realistically, you know, you have a big green monster running around. So realism sort of, the suspension of disbelief has got to be really strong in a film like this. But I think that was it was a smart way to go, let's pay homage to all these people who die in all these movies that you mentioned. And the audience watching my film now is going to realize that. So just like these in-jokes that they make with each other, the Avengers make with each other, and then the little things that connect the film with all the other films, it's a smart way of, somebody's going to say, you know, a lot of people died there. So he wrote a line to make it cover that person. I guess your self-aware thing is you know, true, because he wrote a line to cover that. So
he's like, I answered that.
Yeah, I answered that. And that happens continuously throughout this film.
Yep.
And I almost caught myself the second time watching it going, but what about this? And then it would get answered.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did talk about this. What about this? Yeah, he did talk about
this. Do you know how smart you think you are? He's a little bit smarter.
I think he is. Because to put all of those characters together, to reiterate what we were saying in the beginning, give them all equal screen time, and then leave it open for whatever's supposed to happen next, but continue the story on at the same time. How do you do that? He must have sat in a room just like I mean,
for a long time.
his mind must have been like, what? I mean, it's almost...
That's why he's not directing the last two.
Which scares me a little bit.
The Russo brothers are good. They did Winter Soldier. They did Captain America Winter Soldier.
Which is the least of my favorite of all the films so far.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, the first time I saw it, I fell asleep because I rented it. And have you ever heard me say that before?
No.
I never fall asleep during movies, ever.
Is it more like of the espionage type as opposed to the superhero type?
I don't know. I rented a second time and I was like, I'm not into this. I don't know why. I cannot tell you what happens in that movie, and I've seen it twice. Now, that could be the way my mind is clicking to it or not clicking to it.
Yeah.
So I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was terrible. I need to rewatch it because I can barely remember what happened in that movie. I know it was Bucky. I know it was his partner. I know he's the Winter Soldier. I know the Falcon shows up, but I don't, and I know Black Widow was there. I almost said Black Swan.
Oh,
yeah, Scarlet Witch. Yeah,
Jim.
Scarlet. Yeah. Put all them women together. Let's objectify them. That's a joke, people. That's a joke. Follow the jokes. But anyway, I don't know what my point was. But for
was it you're worried about
Winter
them directing?
Yeah, I don't really know what else have they done.
The Russo brothers, they did some Community episodes, I think.
And they're directing. So this is going to be a 4-part Avengers series or movies, right?
Yeah. Let me see if they're doing Civil War. It doesn't.
So
say.
they're definitely doing the last 2.
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay.
Oh man, this is.
I'm not against it. I just don't know enough about him to. I just think he's done such a great job with the first 2 that why not make it a trilogy and then call it complete? Why isn't he doing the 3rd and 4th film?
It's because he's tired.
I'll bet he's exhausted.
Yeah. Well, and he also not only, I mean, he's producing, I don't know if he's executive producing, but he's producing all the other, like, he's kind of like the creative consultant for all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Now, Kevin Feige is the head guy. He's the guy who started from, well, I mean, I think he was involved in Spider-Man 2 or something, like long time ago, before this whole
The
Warner
Tobey
Brothers
Maguire
thing.
days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, before the whole, before Iron Man.
Okay.
But at Iron Man, he was kind of given the reins and said, like, you're now responsible for all Marvel movies, and here you go. And I think he's done an amazing job.
Brilliant.
Because he's involved in casting and in script approvals and all that. I mean, he's...
Well, you can tell that
so.
that's all being done by one person. You could tell that this movie was written by one person, directed by one person, because too many, fish in the sea, too many cooks in the kitchen spoil the pot. And it was smart to go, here, you do it all. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm sure both of them had, what's the guy's name who produced it?
Kevin Feige.
Yeah, I'm sure they had input from other places and other directors, and they've had some really good directors do some of these films. Kenneth Branagh, this is the first Thor film.
Mm-hmm. Robert Redford did the one you hate.
Oh, really? Winter Soldier? He directed that?
Didn't he direct?
He's in it.
Oh, no, you're right. Never mind. Okay, so the Russo brothers directed Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Never mind.
I completely forgot. Robert Redford was in Winter Soldier. That tells you. And I've seen it twice. I've seen it twice.
So the Russo brothers have directed some shows. Happy Endings, Community. That's where I saw them was Community. Directing Community. They directed Arrested Development.
So all
5 episodes.
Comedies with an edge.
Yep. And then the first movie that they directed was Captain America Winter Soldier. Uh-oh.
Interesting.
And they're directing Civil War right now. Like they're filming Captain America Civil War.
So they're going to be involved with more than one Marvel Universe film before they do the Avengers 3 and 4.
Yep.
What's going to be interesting about Avengers 3 and 4, whatever, Infinity
War Part 1 and 2.
Oh, that's what it's going to be. Okay. Who are they going to include? Like, is it going to be the team you saw at the end? Is Hawkeye done? What's up?
Yeah, is Hawkeye done and Falcon's in?
Yeah, and where's the Incredible Hulk going to be? Is Tony Stark? I mean, obviously,
my guess is that the Hulk is going to like swoop in halfway through or something.
I think they're going to leave him completely out. Really? Yeah, I do, and I think it's smart. Okay. I think it's smart because that's what
you deal with.
Well, that's what they do in the comics. He's not always there with the Avengers. The team gets switched up all the time. You can look at one year and it's one team, and then the next year it's a whole nother team. So they're going to put Ant-Man in there somewhere.
Oh, probably. And then Black Panther.
Yeah,
there's going to be a movie.
Yeah. So what's up? I mean, how do you fit all these people together? Then again, our whole last hour conversation will answer that question.
We could have been saying this exact thing at the end of our Avengers episode 5 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, so we'll see. Whichever way they go, they obviously have done it in a very intelligent, smart way up to this point, to where it's a popcorn movie, but it's well written, well acted. It's smart. It never talks down to you, but it still has a good time. There's things at stake other than Captain America throwing his shield. It's other things at stake. They even play on that with this film too, of all the things that men could create, and they created a shield. Ultron says that. Of all the things that human brains are so small that all they can think about is taking this metal that's this strong and making a shield. That's all you could think about. It's just extremely well done. So in these people's hands, I have no doubt whatever team they plan on for the next one and the next one, and then whatever happens in the future, I'm sure it's going to be well done, because the proof is...
It's right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Well, that's a great note to end on. So I'm not... When's Mad Max coming out? Because that's definitely going to be on our list. The 15th,
concerned.
I think. What?
I'm concerned.
Don't be concerned.
I can be concerned.
Just steer into the skid. You're going to love
concerned.
it. It's going to be beautiful and amazing and magical and
beautiful.
Maddening. It's going to be
maddening.
You need to just check your brain at the door.
Did you really just say maddening?
Yes.
Did you say it with a
Maxening too?
Tongue in the cheek? You're so silly. That's funny. Okay, I'm laughing. I didn't want to laugh, but I'm concerned because I don't understand why they're rebooting it. I don't understand why they're...
You saw the trailer.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. You don't like you. I thought we were on board. I thought you were on board with this.
Well, we can't agree on everything 100% of the time. No, that's fine. I am not interested in it at all, with the exception of Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron.
We don't need to do an episode on it. Then
we can,
but
because what if I end up loving it and you can throw it in my face the whole entire time?
Yeah, but see, I'm afraid. I'm
afraid
that
call me.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid that I'm going to think too much, and I want to not think. I just want to because the trailer is so visually stimulating that I don't really care whether there's these guys bobbing on these poles.
Yeah, off the car. I think that looks cool.
I don't even care why they're doing it.
But you have seen the first 3 films, right?
I saw the first one.
So you've never seen Thunderdome, and you've never seen
Beyond Thunderdome or anything. I've never seen Road Warrior, and I've never seen Beyond Thunderdome.
Well,
I've never seen which one's
Mad Max.
Yes.
Road Warrior and Thunderdome.
Okay. Yes. No.
Yes. No. You've never seen Mad Max? I mean, Road Warrior?
No.
That's why this film looks so interesting to you.
Okay.
Because this just looks it just looks like a big 2015 version of that.
Okay.
I mean, I know I say that with sarcasm. I've not seen anything but the trailer, and all those people lined up seem like a good thing. But for me, I think it's already been done. But we'll see. Are they going to go on and do... Is this just a regular reboot of... the same title character, but it's not going to follow the storylines of the first 3 films? Are they going to go back and do Thunderdome? Are they going to do something like that eventually with this?
Well, I think it depends on George Miller. I mean, he's the one who wrote and directed the new... he's written and directed all of them. Or he's directed all of them, so... He also directed Happy Feet, so, you got to keep that in mind.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Same George Miller.
Okay, I have mad respect for him even more now, because I would have never guessed that. I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit what else will you be doing? Mm-hmm. You're doing yet another
Mad Max.
But he did Happy Feet, so,
there you go.
There it is.
Okay, it looks like it comes out not this Friday, but next Friday, so we'll have to figure something else out.
It's going to be an epic movie summer. So
I think so.
I'm good with that.
All right.
What else big is coming out this summer?
Oh,
well, Fantastic Four.
Yeah, and then this summer.
Yeah. No, Fantastic Four's not coming out this summer. What am I saying? What's the big epic action films that are coming out this year? Like the Avengers and what else? Is there anything else? No.
I'm just drawing a blank.
Okay, no worries.
But I can pull it up right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tomorrowland. I saw the Tomorrowland. Actually, you know what? In IMAX, I saw a Tomorrowland clip, not a trailer. It was a whole 5-minute clip. So, in Jurassic World.
Oh, okay, there it is. And Road War, what is it called? Road Warrior Fury.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh my gosh. I can barely speak the English language, and that's the title. It's called Mad Max
Fury Road.
That's ridiculous.
Terminator Genesis.
Oh, okay. See, I knew there were big ones coming out.
And Mission Impossible, but that's later on.
But that's
in July, I think. I think they moved it up.
But that makes sense. All of those films seem like summer films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the summer season of movies. Most people are like, oh, it's all popcorn movies. It's all fluff.
Mission Impossible is going to be good, though.
I have no doubt about any of them.
Yeah.
Except for Road Warrior.
I have doubts about Terminator Genesis.
Yeah.
But the young Sarah Connor, she looks pretty cool.
I mean, it seems like it could work. We'll see. I don't know. The same thing I have issues with the Mad Max film. I kind of have issues with that. Where is the original stuff? Like, that all came from something. So,
well, we don't know what this Max is. Is this a tangential Max or is this the same Max? I don't know. I think he's got the same name, so it's probably the same guy. Max Rocksteady or whatever his stupid name is. It's a stupid name,
but it's still based on something that used to be. It's not an original story.
That's true.
But that seems to be happening a lot, where we're doing. Now we're not even coming up with a whole nother idea like the Terminator. We're just redoing the same movie, just in a different world.
It's money. That's who's gonna give.
But
somebody
they had to
money.
have come from somewhere.
I know, but who's gonna give somebody money to do this crazy weird thing out in the
same
outback?
people who gave it to them to begin with.
Well, but that was low budget, wasn't it?
Yeah, that first one was.
Yeah.
And I think Road Warrior was more money
because they had it was a sequel to the beginning.
But it had to start somewhere.
I understand.
So if all you're doing is rebooting and recasting and redoing the same movies over and over again, we're never going to have anything original.
I totally get it, but you're not going to have a movie on that scale that's going to be based on nothing, based on not on a previous. People need to get butts in the seats, and I'm not even saying this is true specifically for this situation or for blockbuster movies. You could make a blockbuster movie somehow based on nothing, a la Star Wars. Out of whole cloth. Obviously there's tropes in Star Wars and there's, a basis in, some Japanese movies and stuff that he said that he was inspired by and all that stuff. But still, it was based on nothing. He started off with that and now a huge franchise. They're less prone to do that. Are you going to give somebody $250 million to make a movie that nobody's ever heard of any of the characters? It happened with Avatar. That was the last time that happened? I don't even know.
Look how well that worked.
I know.
Hello.
I know. But
example made.
But it's also the guy who made the most successful movie of all time.
And Terminator. Or Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Which reinvented that. And I'm just saying, do you get my point though?
I know.
I'm saying that.
You're saying there's no original stuff.
I'm not dealing with $250 million in my back pocket to say make this movie, but it would make sense to me that a lot of the percentage of time that it works when it's original is as high as risking spending that money. So give them $150, $200 million, give them $50 million. Go make an original film that's not Ex Machina size, but is this Terminator size, because that started from an original idea.
That's kind of what
Aliens.
Yeah, that's kind of what Tomorrowland is actually.
Oh, is it?
But it's more kid based though. Tomorrowland reminds me of a kind of like 80s Goonies type of a thing.
Now, is that based on something?
Nope.
Or no, it's all okay. Answer to the question.
I'm sure
is Tomorrowland.
I'm sure that's $200 million though. I'm sure they spent that much money on that movie.
And if it's done as well as all these other films originally did, or was done, I bet you it's going to be a huge hit. And then your premise,
Tomorrowland too.
Well, yeah, of course there will be. And then 25 years from now, they're going to make another Tomorrowland reboot, like they're doing with all this other stuff. Probably. So, people do spend the money.
They do, they do.
But I guess with George Clooney,
hey,
I'm just saying.
Brad Bird,
yeah. I'm just saying. Let's
change it up a little bit. Come on, guys with $200 million. Give it to somebody.
Let the guy in Raleigh talking about you dictate what you're going to do with your movies. I'm just making a point that we need some original scripts. Come on now.
All right. Sounds good. Original scripts. Screenwriters, get on it. Okay. We'll see you next week.